Welcome back, my software engineers. Now, after we've done all the preliminary work, we're actually going to build the project. Now, we've done a lot of things leading up to and doing all this work beforehand. That makes building the project faster. Since we're just building an MVP and trying to get a proof of concept to see, is this going to work and is this something that you would like, we're going to make this very fast in a no-code tool. Now, I talked about several no-code tools in the last video that you can check out. And now we're going to see what is it actually like when we build an app from scratch. For simplicity, I have chosen to use Softer. Now, Softer, if you remember correctly, has its data in another application. We could use Airtable, and there's actually been some pretty good advances in the link between Airtable and Softer. However, for simplicity's sake, because remember, Softer can pull from various different sources, and Google Sheets is one of them. So let's take a quick look at what this is going to look like. I've already got my data sheet here, and I called it 360 Review. And I have two tabs, one for my reviews and one for my users. So I'm going to put in here first my reviewer, who's being reviewed. And then for simplicity's sake, based upon some feedback that I got and some research I did while I was building my application, I've chosen to have 4 different questions I'm going to ask. These are going to be numerically linked. And then I'm also going to have a little space that they could provide a description if they want. This seems to be very simple and easy to do. So I'm going to have here rank 1, then descript 1. And then for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to copy and paste this a couple of times so that now I can come in here and just change this value here. Little trick if you don't know, if you hit the F2 key, it goes into edit the cell. And now I've created my data sheet that I need to be able to store my reviews. So I'm going to come over here and say user. Then I'm going to have name. And that's all I'm going to right now put in there. You might say, well, why is that all I'm going to put in there? Well, what you're going to see is that when we link this in with Softer, it's going to add some extra features for us. So we're going to use things like magic links and some other stuff. You'll see what that's like in just a second. So this is saved on my users table and I'm good to go. Now I'm going to come over here with Softer Studio. Now this is softer.io. Once you sign in, it lets you go in and create your app. And you can see I've got a variety of different things I could pick from, like an employee directory and a sales CRM, content calendar, etc. In fact, I've got even more. If I go to all templates, I can pick with that. I can also generate something with AI. I can create a prompt and get pretty close, and that's the idea. But for our purpose, I want to show you what it's like to start from scratch and show you how simple this really is. So I'm going to click Start from Scratch. You can say, well, what fields do I need? Do I need like a sign up and a sign in, reset forgot password, user profile? I need some of these. So I'm not going to use my list details. I'm not going to need a form for this. And how do I know this? Well, I go back to what my MVP statement was as far as what I needed. And from there, I generate a flow. So I know, for example, I need my home and I need to be able to sign in. And if I can sign in, then I can be able to go in and get my links of information. I know that I probably need to sign up, although for right now, for this simplicity, I'm going to uncheck that because I'm not going to worry about that too much. And the same way, I'm not going to worry about having a user profile. I'm going to keep this very simple for me. So what am I going to have? My home page, a list page that's going to list all the reviews I need to give, a sign-in page if we want to use the sign-in. Might be using Magic Link, which is a little bit easier. It's something I found out about that Softer provides for us, and so that's kind of a cool thing. I'll show you how that works. And then if they do sign in, we always have to worry about what happens if they forgot their password. So a reset and forgot password page. So those two I'm keeping just in case, but I may not need them. I'm going to click on Create Application. It's going to take just a few seconds for me to go in and build this app. Okay, took a few seconds and it was done. And you say, well, wait a second, there's a lot of stuff we didn't do. Like, how does it know what data sheet to go to and stuff like that? Glad you asked that. We're going to talk about that in just a second. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what the design field looks like. So here I have my main home page, and you can see that it's listed home up in the upper left-hand corner. And I have different blocks that I can add, both dynamic blocks like list and forms, as well as static blocks. And so I can come over here and select hero and just click a little plus and it'll add it in there. Or I can click plus here and choose to add a block there. So pretty easy. This is selected now. And so I see over where my items were that I could add, I now have a properties panel and I can change what I have listed. So I don't have to know any HTML, and this is showing on what it looks like on a desktop. I could also click so I know what it looks like on a mobile device. So I can say here your Easy 360 review system. Do I like it on a tablet? Do I like it on desktop? Under my subtitle, I have information here, and I can point them in some direction, including what's called a call to action. A call to action says, hey, I want you to go do this. So if I had that sign up form, I wanted to be able to sign up new customers from this, I can link it. Bang, it goes right there. I'm going to leave this blank. I don't need it. You notice that it shrunk my system down. And I'm going to come over here and trash my call to action just so it's a little bit easier. I select my sections, and you notice it has different pieces here, documents, project, news, etc. I don't need any of that, so I'm just going to trash it. Are you sure? Yes. Much, much simpler, and this is actually what I want. I want it simple because this is an MVP. Now up at the top, I have two different navigation bars. You might say, well, why do you have two? Glad you asked. The top one, you notice, has a little world. This is for your non-logged in users. And then the bottom one is if the user's already logged in. So you'll see that some of these are things I just do not need. I'm going to select them. I don't need a list of my employees, so I can choose to delete that. Same thing with my projects and company news. None of that is relevant. I do have a link here, sign up. I can choose an action. And I'm going to say, you know what, I want to open a page. What page? Go to sign in. So I'm going to change that from sign up to sign in. That's the important thing if you're a global user. Now, in reality, I'm probably going to have links like to a blog and why you want to pick this product and some other things, but I'm not linking to that just yet, not here on this particular application and site. For those that are logged in, I still want to have this, and I could delete this if I want to, but I don't want that. I'm going to come over here. I don't need employees, don't need project. I'm going to change the company news to be a leave reviews. I'm going to open a page. What page is going to be my list page? Now, I can change the names of those pages if I want, but for right now, I'm good. Do I need to show the user profile? Nope, we're going to take that out. It's not relevant to what we're doing, okay? If I want to look at all my different pages, I can click right here. This is a list of all my pages. Forgot password, list, reset password, and sign in. I can change my theme, which is customize my styles, my color, different things like that. These are the defaults. I'm leaving them like that for now because I'm focused more on getting something up and running, not changing it to be, oh, this is really my style. I just want to show it up and running. But I could come in here and change all my fonts and stuff like that. Where things get important is where I go to my settings real quick. You notice there's a lot of different information in here. Some of it is custom code and integrations and OpenID settings. Those types of things are needed if you have a higher level plan. I'm just on the free plan right now, show you what you can do with the free plan. What I'm interested in is choosing my data source. Okay, and it says, notice there's no data sources selected. That is my challenge, so I need to be able to set that. So since I don't have a data source, I'm going to come over here to users. I want to sync with the data source. And now it's going to say, well, you've got to pick a data source. So I'm going to choose Google Sheets. It's going to go get a list of all my different sheets I have. I want 360 review. It then says, well, there are sub-sheets here. What are the sheets within this Google Sheets workbook? I'm going to pick users. The required is email. And then anything else is optional. And so I'm going to come in here and have name. Now notice that I don't have one for my magic link. So I would have to generate a temporary password, send it to them, they link in, change the password, or I can use this magic link. And what a magic link does is it's going to send them a link and say, hey, if you just click on this, it's going to automatically log you in. This is faster and easier for sure for the end user. However, it's less secure because anyone could intercept an email or leave an email application open and someone forwarded it to someone else, and then they impersonate the user. So there's advantages and disadvantages to using a magic link. You have to ask yourself, how important is security for this? Also, what's the likelihood that someone's going to remember and keep that email with that magic link? Is it a one-time thing, or is it something they got to use a lot? These are really interesting questions, and you're going to get those answers based upon the preliminary work that you did before. So, like I said, the other option is to generate a temporary password. If I choose to use a magic link, you're going to notice that I don't have a field for that. I'll have to go back into Google Sheets and change if I want. If I have the password, I can simply go in and do it. I could also optionally put in a date created. And this is often useful if I need to know how long someone's been in my system and stuff like that. So I'm going to leave those blank for now. Click Save and Sync. It's going to take just a couple seconds. And it's done. If I come back here over to my Google Sheets, you'll notice it's added a softer record and it puts a little lock in here. That's letting me know that, hey, this is something it did. So I can't change this. This is how it's going to keep this information synced. Let me go back over here. Right now I have no users. I can add users if I want, and I will later on, don't get me wrong. But this is just a good little syncing way. All right, I can go back to my pages. I want to go to my list page. This is where I'm going to list the information for my reviews. This is just default temporary data. So we're going to change this up. In fact, I'm going to come down here. You notice it's got a tip. I'm going to delete that. I don't need that at the bottom. Then right now, this is a list 3, and it's a list of deletable elements with vertical cards. I'm not going to have vertical cards and stuff like that, okay? So I'm actually going to come over here and delete this. And then it's like, oh, wait, now what? Well, now I'm going to come over here. And I have a list with horizontal cards. I have a table I can pick. List details with image. You can see I have some different things. These are my suggested blocks, the blocks most likely to be used. I can come down here to list and I see a lot of other things are available. Lists with small cards, big grid items, etc., etc. So I can figure out what is best for me. And I am going to say probably this list with horizontal cards, just for simplicity's sake. Notice it's coming in here and adding this. I have my source. I'm going to select my data source. That's Google Sheets. It's going to be my 360 review. Notice I can actually use different documents. And then I'm going to choose reviews. You notice as we get started, it kind of shows us a task of, hey, these are things you need to do. Oh, look, you've done more. Perfect. All right. The other thing you'll notice is that once I selected my sheet, it comes here and says, wait a second, there's nothing to display here. And that's right. It is absolutely correct. There is nothing to display because I don't have any data in it yet. I'm going to be adding data later when it's done. Now I can come in here and do some filters. So I'm going to say, hey, here's some filters. I can say add conditions, like, if this condition is met, I want to see it. So I'm going to say reviewer is, and then I'm going to say logged in user and email. What does that mean? Well, if the reviewer is listening to email, I'm going to show only that information. That way, when someone logs in, whether it's through a magic link or password, they're going to see the list of people that they can review, no one else. So it just auto filters this information. When I return no results, we show an empty state message. You can see no results found. Try adjusting your search, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to say no results found. And then I can also choose list settings, like how many items do I want to put? So I can say, hey, you know what, only show 5 at a time, something else like that. The other thing I can do is I can add a condition, another condition. So this is a second one. And I might come in here and say, you know what? I want if rank 1 is not empty. You might say, well, why did I pick that? Well, this is going to show only ones they haven't done. So if they've got 5 or 6 people to review, I don't want them going like, did I leave a review for this person? Did I not? We're going to make it so that if they left a review for it, they left a value, we're there. Now, I could also put in a special field, say like, completed, and then do like a yes, no type of thing. But this is simple, and this is going to work. For our content, I'm going to come over here. Notice I have a header. Okay, I can choose what I want to display. I want to display reviewed. This is the person that's going to be reviewed. It's going to show me, hey, you can't do anything with that. That's fine. I don't need their image. I can't delete this, so I'm just going to hide it. We don't have a field that stores an image, so that's gone. Divider. And then I don't actually need any of these other labels. Believe it or not, I don't need any. So I'm going to come over here and I can delete these labels. Don't need a search bar. Now, I might choose to add that later on if I'm going to have a lot of people that, people are reviewing. But for simplicity's sake, we're going to leave that out. And then my filters, I don't need any filters, so I'm going to delete those out. All right. So I have the ability to add a record. You notice that right over here. So I'm going to create my actions, top bar buttons, add a record. Nope, I don't need to do that. Styles gives me how big something is, and then I have a visibility. So I'm going to say this is only for logged in users. Okay, pretty good so far. Now, unfortunately, I am a little bit limited in the fact that I can't see this. And so I'm going to pause real quick, go put some data in my data sheet so I can see what it looks like and then modify it. All right, so I went in, just put in a couple pieces of simple data here. I have a John Smith. I'm going to choose actions. And we got rid of the top bar button, but now I want to have an add item button. And I'm going to choose to edit this record. So instead of going out to another place, I get this add edit button. I can change how I want it to be, stuff like that. Review this person. We can kind of see what that looks like there. Now, I'm going to come in here and notice down here I have on form submission and stuff like that. This record's been updated successfully, cancel buttons, update buttons, etc. So, review information, save, review, cancel, we're good. To go in and set it up so we can review this person, I'm going to go to Actions, if I'm not there already. Click on Review This Person, click on Edit Record. And then you notice here we have review. This is the person's name. All right, so I want to add the fields that they can see when they click on to review. So I'm going to click on Add Field, and I'm going to choose Rating. I'm going to map this to rank 1. Then I can give it a label. And I have different labels that I can pick. So I have some information already. I'm going to pick Contributes to Team Meetings. Okay, so that's number 1. Is this person a good team member? Do they contribute to the meetings? And this is a rating. It's a small little star system, so I can come over here and click on this little paintbrush, and I can choose to change my font size if I want to make it a little bigger. I have a text color, and this is actually going to give me stars. So if you've ever analyzed anything, for example, with Amazon, you rank something, or in Google, if you're rating a different location, someplace you went had to eat or something like that, you're familiar with this. And this makes it really, really easy. And this is something I learned when I was doing reviews. We're trying to make things really easy. And a lot of times we see things like, ranked on this from a 1 to 5. And people overthink that. But people instantly know, star, click, and they can make it work. Now, if we want to give them a chance to maybe give a little information about that, we can say, hey, you know what? Let's add a new field. And we'll choose long text. Then we can choose, we're going to map this to description 1. And then for our label, why did you pick that ranking? So this is a real quick and easy thing I can do. And I can choose to say, you know what? I can come and look at contributors to me and like, you know what? You have to give an answer for that. So we'll make it required. But on why did you pick that? You know what? Maybe that's not needed. And so I'm going to not make it required. It kind of just depends upon how am I feeling, what's the different fields that we have. Coming here to our second one. It's also going to be a rating. Map this to rank 2. And you can see how we're going to go through this. So we're just going to do this for all of our different ones real quick. Okay, so you can see this when it's all done. Click on preview. Here's my person. Click on review this person. And up comes here's my information. Now I made these stars just a little bit bigger. And so I can simply click on them. I can leave information. Notice anything here that has a little star off by it is required. So if I go to save, it's going to go, here's a couple that you didn't save, which I might want to go in and fix. Click Save Review. And if you look here, you'll notice that the field shows no results found. That's because there were results. If I come over here to my softer, you can see here's my information, John Smith. Here's all the information I need, including a software record ID. So I can go in and simply, it's mapped, software understands it. I can update this information. I could delete this information if I want to, so I can reuse it and file it again. So now I have this information in my Google Sheet. Now I can start to run formulas like, what's the average that this person was rated, or what was the average that this person rated other people? There are some limitations, obviously. For example, I can only rank between 1 and 5 stars. I can't go, you know what, I only want a thumbs up, thumbs down, or I want to do 1 to 10 stars. So there are limits. And we have to understand, like, hey, is this okay that we have these types of limits? The answer is, yeah, probably. It's probably okay. We're sacrificing flexibility for speed. Built this entire project in under 30 minutes. And that's not bad. Now, I could obviously add a lot more details to it, and getting 80% only takes about 20% of the time. That last 20%, finalizing, tweaking, etc., testing, those things take a little bit longer. But it's a simple way to create your MVP, sometimes in just a day or two. And it's not just me, because I've used this a couple of times. I had some other people starting to use some examples similar to this. And when they come in as a team, they start working and they're able to create most of their application between half and 2/3 in an hour to hour and a half. And that's with only 2 or 3 people working on it together at once and having never used that application before. So that's the real power of your no-code and low-code tools. Obviously, we can get a lot more complicated. And if you use tools like Bubble that has a little more features, you can do more, takes a little bit longer to set up. You got to understand the data process. But what happened? I had my ERD. I know what data I needed. I knew from my research what types of questions I was going to ask. And I had those written down. I could just copy and paste them in. I knew other things. I was able to use it because I did that preliminary work. So building my application and getting to a test environment was very, very easy. and took less than 30 minutes. Now, I know this video is a little bit longer than some of the things we've done before. I hope you stayed to the end and watched this. There's a lot of valuable information, obviously. I think you can see us create that MVP from beginning to end. Obviously, if you go all the way back to the very beginning, you see all the work that we had to do, asking those questions so we know what was going to appear, etc. But it made the actual building process very simple. And that's a big part of what software engineering is all about. Building applications that meet the requirements and delivered on time and on budget. And you saw me be able to do this from scratch. Now, you also saw there's other versions and information I want to have going in the future. So stick around for our next video so I can tell you how we're going to do that and what's going to happen with this particular application.